That is Southern. We've got a little clock there. That's Southern Railways for you.
Yes.
Right.
They've shaken
So
it up.
no, I'm so sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
Because no drivers. No drive. Cancelled trains. Changing platforms with 1 minute's notice to get to the thing. That's why I missed the
I thought
other
there might
one.
have been trees on the line because obviously because of the storm, we've had. It's not been too bad actually. They did forecast.
It is quite windy out. Well, you would know about it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, I don't.
I couldn't believe it. I came here. I said, and I went to boarding school, so I was always in the hot sun, still had my breathing tie on, didn't I? Because I'm a stupid git. Hello.
I'm scared of, I've got trypophobia.
Which is?
So it's...
Was that falling over?
It's holes. Or like small, so like...
Somebody was on QI with that.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like those frogs that have the holes in their back, that make me feel sick. Or like, I don't like honeycombs or like...
There's a big round one.
No, I can deal with that, that's okay. It's small holes,
but she had the
lots
same
together,
problem.
and it's worse. And there's a flower pod where it's a brown thing with the holes, and they have the seed in the hole. I don't mind if it's just holes, it's the things in the holes. I don't like things in holes.
I don't know what to say about that, Jim. You know what I mean? Yes, Churchy cow.
That's my fear.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't really... I was aircrew for a long time, and I had a bit of a fear of heights. But because you had to choose the most fascinating and beautiful women in the course, and they know they're safe with me.
Yeah.
What I'm not safe from is the spiders. The spiders.
But they're all dead now.
I'm hoping they're all dead.
So they
not so much in here, in the middle. I was like, I'll get in the window. Oh no, I won't get in the window.
I think they
We had, strangely enough, we had a conversation when we were filming and doing the Father Christmas thing
About
yesterday.
spiders?
No, because my elf in chief, as I call him, Stuart, we've done a film with Stephen Stuart, and he's going to fill in, doing some elf work for me when I do Father. They've got a reptile shop.
Right.
So geckos are fine, so there's pictures of me, and he's terrified of snakes.
Oh, I'm alright with snakes.
Spiders.
I'm okay with snakes, and I'm good with lizards, I just don't like spiders.
My daughter's right.
But they can't hurt you. I mean, in Australia, they can hurt you.
Oh yeah.
I'm from Australia originally. There you go.
See, darling, she's from Australia, many pounds.
Well, no, I moved to England when I was 2. So, spider fear.
You just missed it. She's just gone upstairs, our Danny of the Magnificent Memories. She's gone upstairs, and all you can hear is this hooting and screaming because she's coming across cobwebs and spiders. Yeah, did you find a big one? There's spiders up there the size of her tits, put it that way. Oh, that's rude, isn't it? You like me being rude, don't you?
now. Now I've come back down backwards.
I don't know, yes, sometimes, yeah. I like you being yourself, basically, yes.
Well, I am myself. Occasionally.
Why did I do this in heels?
Yeah.
You want to do what?
Why did I do this in heels?
I have no idea. Do you want your pink shoes then?
No, because I'm up here, it's alright.
Girl power. She's got
You
girl
haven't seen
power.
that one before,
No,
have you?
look. Girl power. She's got on her back.
You haven't
You've
seen
got
that
one.
one?
You've
That's
got one
quite
down.
new.
You've got one just there as well.
That one's newer. I don't think you've seen that one before. Oh,
Well,
my
no,
bats,
because
the bats up my neck.
when we did Raven's
these.
house, the first one,
I didn't have that.
you were up to there in black.
That's
So I
true.
didn't. Yeah, you
You
were
can
all
see
in
anything.
black. But when you, what were you wearing when we did the red mist one?
Something else big, I think. Some other.
It was figure hugging anyway.
Some other corset or something.
I remember when you did that, I was going down the line of prostitutes and I looked at you and you winked at me. You were trying to make me laugh, weren't you? No, that was good fun, that shoot. Are you okay, dear? Oh, she's going in reverse, coming down the stairs in black stiletto
The lady
patent
said,
leather.
spiders!
Oh, look at her. Big girl's blouse.
I don't mind the stairs and the climbing in stilettos.
I can see right up your dress.
I don't care. I'm not frightened of that.
We're not far. Well,
Oh my god, there's so many spiders, and they are all dead, but they're still spiders.
even if the spiders are dead,
That's just
you get your knickers in a twist, even if they're dead. Hello. She just exposed her food to me. Luckily, she had knickers on.
making sure there's none on me.
You haven't got any spiders on you.
I'm like-
And if you keep on doing that shaking, you're going to knock yourself out with your tickets.
Alright, I can breathe.
I did a bit of BT of you sitting on going up the stairs.
You're screaming.
I said, put that on grip. All I've got is me going up. I said, at least it's going to be an interesting segment in the day of the life of Mark Sinclair. Seeing there, working with an actress who I have great affection for, and all I have to do is take her frock off.
Just keep.
I mean, I've said to every single time I've done something to that Jack, I said, gee, only I do it, you employ old puffs like me, so you can get the thrills and all that, and the girls are not worried about us. I mean, what one did we do? And there was a bit more crew, wasn't there? Do you remember? We could Quill Pen. There was more people, wasn't there? The painter guy and all that.
Yes.
Well, all straight as dice. And I tell you what, they were sitting there like thirsty dogs with their tongues hanging out, going, and they're called, what was her name? Sam, is it? Or
Bex.
Bex, which she had her titties out. We had that.
She was ladies,
she had her titties and foo out.
Oh.
Much to my astonishment.
Did you not know where to look there?
Oh, well, I did that. I was a nurse, so I've seen tits, fannies, and cocks and bums and all sorts of things. It doesn't, it doesn't turn in the head because, but all in varying degrees. The body beautiful. I mean, I look in the mirror every morning. I said this yesterday, and I went, "What the fuck happened to you last night?" Oh, this is very pleasant. So this is where they grind the wholemeal
I can see
flour,
some barley.
I said, yeah, is that
There's barley.
or whatever they do, the grain and all that, and it's wholemeal, isn't it? They do.
I don't know, they said downstairs there was different things. Look, I'll tell you what, there's a poster with instructions. Maybe
But
we
this
can
is
start
just,
milling.
this place has just been, what did that Barbara say? It's just been
Well, she said
restored in the last 30 years or so. Isn't it
Yeah.
1999, I think?
Tell me that.
Or is
Wouldn't it
it-
be
it
cool
was
to have an
then?
apartment, like, obviously,
Well, there is somebody who got
there
one.
are some, yeah.
You know.
But then they would have no spiders because they'd be hooved.
Well, no, I think I'm glad there's a Hoover on every floor here, just in case. Did you find one upstairs?
No. I didn't look for Hoover, I was just making sure there wasn't no
Well, we
spiders.
heard. Every time there was a scream, we knew what you found. It doesn't worry me at all, to be honest with you.
Well, there's lots of them.
But
Probably
the other thing, as I said yesterday, the other thing,
doing those ladders
you
and
know what
stilettos
I
is
have a
always
phobia
good.
about? Okra. I told you yesterday.
Oh, I
didn't
love okra.
You know,
'Cause it's
work,
sticky.
that is the work of the devil.
Oh, my mum used to cut the ends off and stick them to my face.
Well, that's a good idea for a makeup thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing, rhubarb and gooseberries.
Really? I've got a fridge full of rhubarb at home.
Yeah, actually it's weird. I don't mind rhubarb in a chutney.
Right, what about not in a pie?
No, my father loves it. He's 94 and he loves rhubarb and custard. And I've made it for him. But it is something, because I was forced to
I'm
eat
actually
it.
going to, do you know what? I bought some apples and I've had this rhubarb sat in my fridge, cool box for
You
ages.
make a rhubarb and apple
I'm going to
tart.
make a crumble.
Oh,
Do that tomorrow. Or tomorrow. Yeah, I can do
yeah.
tomorrow.
Do it tomorrow. What time do you want me? I'll come over.
Come
and have
over.
it. But not with the rhubarb, I'll just make an apple one. And gooseberries.
I like gooseberries. These are a gooseberry version of garden.
But Brussels sprouts.
Oh, I don't like those. No one likes those.
As a kid, hated them.
Oh, silly.
I love them. And my mother, God rest her soul, died 10 years ago, or 11 years ago now, used to put her Brussels sprouts and vegetables from Sunday roast on a Wednesday afternoon. They were like shit by the time I got them. And of course,
Why did you keep it?
because she was Barbara. No, she was, I always make that sort of joke, but she was always overcook. Veg, where you can't overcook. If you overcook,
soggy veg.
you lose.
Do you know what soggy sprouts?
Well, I don't mind turning all the soggy mush You know, because I don't throw anything away at home when I'm cooking. Yeah, it goes straight to soup.
Yeah.
My gazpacho is to die for, darling. Do you like gazpacho?
I don't mind gazpacho. So I don't mind sprouts if they're fried, like in a like.
Well, yeah, you can do that, and it's
I'll
nice
do
to have it with
chestnuts and veggie bacon.
Are you vegetarian?
Vegan.
Oh, I'll go on that one.
Both.
Vegan. I tried being a vegetarian once. For
I
about
thought you were.
No.
No.
No, but I don't eat a lot of meat now. That's the difference. The only thing I can't give up is burgers.
Burgers.
I love
Yeah,
my burgers.
Good veggie burger now though. Good.
Oh yeah, but the old bean burger were vile.
Oh no, not the bean burgers.
Yeah, you know, I know you can get beetroot burger.
Not even those. The ones that actually are like meat. The Moving Mountains burger, the Beyond Meat burger. You'd never even know you're not having a burger.
Oh,
They taste like cow.
But, yeah, but people say, oh well, I was going to do your leg of lamb, and I said, if I was to go round to your place for Sundays, I mean, not you, because I'd ended up with a vegan burger, wouldn't it?
Get nut roast.
Yeah, well that's all right. Chestnuts, anything like wonderful stuff. I would still have the leg of lamb,
And the
but
roast.
I wouldn't choose to go and buy it. Oh my goodness.
Well, that was the thing I was going to say actually, because what happens is that someone sees the joke and likes it, so then they kind of steal it. Then it seems to do the rounds, and about 4 years later, I see it in some sort of joke page on the internet or in a joke book.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because I wrote something. I wrote something many years ago with another actor.
I'm flattered, actually, quite honestly.
With another actor friend of mine called Philip Howes, who I've not seen in years.
Yeah, I know the name.
And the fact he was a great dancer too, but until he got run over by a car or something like that.
Yeah. That's my excuse as well.
But
I used to be a
I'm
good
going to
dancer.
I'm going to leave that for a little bit, because I've got a bit of a surprise for you coming up a bit later.
Have you?
Yeah. But I wrote something like you do, and we never thought anything of it. And of course, what did it do? It did the rounds. Jim Davison, Mike Reed.
Yeah,
all of that.
that's right. That's right.
Never got a penny.
I mean, my kind of, I say favourite one was, I was doing pantomime in Melton Mowbray one year with Cinderella.
Where the pies come from.
Yeah, that's right. And we're in the middle, and the girl who was playing Cinderella wasn't all that experienced. But anyhow, basically what happened is that as she was doing a bit of solo monologue, if you like, to the audience, suddenly one of the flats at the side of the stage fell forward because that had bought it, and it hit another one. So like a domino effect, but it did stop it because it caught on, so it didn't go into the orchestra pit or the audience or anything like that. But she just screamed and ran off, went on stage, you see, and I'm in the wings because I've got to go on and have this dialogue with her. And I thought, oh God, you know what I'm going to do now? So I thought, well, I've got to go on, because this piece, the only reason we're doing this bit is because the Ugly Sisters are in the middle of a change, costume change, and they need time. So we were just filling, basically. So I just went on. Of course, the audience could see what had happened as Cinderella had run off screaming. So I just went on as Baron and said, oh my goodness, look at this Baron hut. Here I am, hard up all. It's all falling to pieces. I can't afford the repairs. I've had to sell everything. I've even had to get rid of the Hoover. Well, it was only gathering dust. Right.
Now with subtitles for the hard of English.
Now then, for the hell of thinking. Anyway, after that, about 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago now, at the Edinburgh Festival, Fringe Festival, you know, they give these awards to the best one-liner jokes and everything else, and the award went to Tim Vine with his joke, I'm so hard up I've had to sell everything, even the Hoover. Well, it was only gathering dust, and that won. So I wrote
a winning joke.
I wrote on my Facebook page how lovely Tim Vinehurst, and I thought, no one's going to believe me. But half the cast from that particular Cinderella, they came back.
We were there.
We were there.
Yeah.
I remember that great.
We were there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So I was.
Don't plagiarise my wonderful work.
And since then, I've written some jokes for Tim Vine purposely, which he pays me for. So.
Well, he's made up for it then. So you. And now, of course, you're much better from everything, aren't you?
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, I'm in remission, which is similar to Borstal, I think, really, isn't it?
No, that's reform, darling.
Oh, reform.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That lovely line from Naked Civil Servant, which had the lovely dead man, I once had dinner with, who had Shane, died recently, was in the Hammer films.
And John Hurt.
John Hurt, and they're all in the cafe. They said, "You should have seen. See what I've seen at Reform School." And one of the trans people at the time said, "I bet you reformed a lot of boys." Yes, I did. All up to their eyes in makeup. And all. It was, oh yeah.
You're talking about John Hurt. When I was at drama school, I went. He was at RADA. John Hurt was at RADA, and I was at the Guildhall. And I went over to RADA because they have these end of year presentations, or they have to do a show, a play, or whatever. And that's when I first saw John Hurt, and he was a young man, a bit older than I was, but still a young man. And I thought, goodness me, that is the sort of actor that I would like to be. He was one of my inspirations. And after...
He wasn't dressed up as the Elephant Man at the time, though, was he?
No, it was before the Elephant, way before that. I can't even remember what the play was. It might have been an original thing anyway. But however, I obviously after the production and whatever at RADA, I went, we all had drinks and everything. Well, I didn't drink then actually, so I just had a squash or something. But oh yes, of course. But I went back and sort of chatted to John and said, I really so enjoyed your performance. If you're one actor, I'm going to try to model myself on. And he said, no, just be yourself. Be
yourself.
Which is right. So anyway, make a short story boring. Later, when I was doing my sort of in my third year, John, it was already by then out of drama school and already done a bit. He came along to watch me returning the favour, and he saw me afterwards. And again, I was still having orange juice and whatever. And he said to me, no, he said, I want to be so much like you.
I was very lucky.
And such a compliment. He probably didn't mean it, but
I'm sure he meant it.
No, I'm sure he didn't mean it sincerely.
He was a kind man.
But because I'd said that about him, he was kind of returning the compliment.
I loved Naked Civil Servant. I was very lucky.
It was very good. I saw the original.
I met Quentin at a dinner party near the BBC, at the vicarage near the BBC, which was hilarious. We had Prince Martini, who was, the guy who runs the Martini people. I don't know if he was a real prince, but he called himself Prince Martini. You can do so much with, Martini Bianco, can't you?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice and a gin. Then later, of course, I had some friends who worked for the royal household, and I went to one of their dues. They had the Royal Household Film Society, and I think I've already said this. It's just cut it out. What happened was, was invited by Marcus and Michael to join them up there with all the ladies and gentlemen. They're all sitting there, and of course they put on a film called Champion, which was about Bob Champion, who had cancer.
Yeah, cancer, that's right.
And of course John played the part. And of course, who did they get along to watch the film but bloody John Hurt? Well, I'd seen him in I, Claudius, which he was fantastic as Caligula. anything he's in, Elephant Man, as you say, all that, and there he was. And I was terrified to catch him. And Marcus said to him, "Oh, go on, dear, go and say hello," because it was Captain's Tips. So I went out, I said, "Hello, Mr. Hurt." He said, "Call me John." I went, "Yeah, you must be exhausted." He said, "Yeah, watching that film, it would exhaust anyone." They had to choose that film, didn't they? And I said, it was a bit much, wasn't it? He said, "Awful film." I wonder who the hell that is. I'm going to sit down there. I'm going to sit down there.
Yes, I'm ready.
Who could he be, Daddy?
Hello, David. Happy birthday.
La
It's your worst nightmare. Oh,
Thank
darling.
you. Betty, my love, how are you,
Hi,
my
darling.
love? Yeah, good to see
I've
you
heard
again.
a lot about you.
Oh, all good things, I hope.
Oh, are you having a nice day?
Yeah, look at her stocking feet. Look,
Well, I'm
bloody-
Sandy Shaw.
Yeah, Sandy Shaw.
Sandy
now.
Shaw tonight.
I'm going to my back now.
You're going to have a fag, darling. David, I've been asked, cajoled, and talked into coming here for your birthday, for your 74th birthday, I believe.
Yes.
Not that we have birthdays. I'm only 25.
Yeah. I work
Acting-
backwards now.
Yes,
That's
yes.
25 round the ankle, by the way.
I reversed
Round the
the
neck.
actual age, so I'm now currently 47.
She said through clenched dentures.
Well, we knew somebody who was 95 when she died, and her playing age was 64, and she was younger than me. So there we go. And you know who that was.
I think so, yeah.
I do know them.
Yeah, Miss Elvin.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been asked. I think you've discussed it already in your little sojourn here. Sojourn? What a nice name. I don't know what it means.
You can see she's in fucking character, can't you? Look at the state of that straight out, aren't you?
Well, I am, yeah.
You can say it, at least you
I've
can
got,
say it.
I've got another booking in 2011. 21, 2, 3. Oh, this Alzheimer's is getting the better of me. I hope it doesn't today. Because, David, I'm going to do you a little story that has been going around, as you've heard already. I think tonight, my darling,
Tonight.
well, it could be tonight, couldn't it? If I was blind.
I think what our Betty is referring to is when we were discussing the situation of how things go round
Yes.
Yes.
and all that.
That's right.
And, yeah, this is not only a great one for me, because it's never been really been a real possibility.
Well,
But
it was done. I mean, it was rehashed. Ronnie Barker. It came up in Ronnie Barker's stuff, new stuff, old stuff. But he did Cinderella, and I read that, and it's nothing like what this is. I've sort of put my own spin on it. And
But I wrote it
and you wrote it with
with Bill House.
that's it. And so,
You don't have to do it. Wait.
I've been interrupted.
Do you want to do it standing up?
no, I'd rather do it sitting down. Unless that's bad.
Try and carry.
The fact is, he can't fucking get out. That's the point.
No, it's all right. I'll sit you down.
No, I would prefer to be a sit-down comedian
Yes.
rather than a stand-up one.
Well, I've done it sitting.
That was a joke,
I've
wasn't it?
mostly done it sitting
It's all
down.
coming out now. Look at this. God, you're writing for everyone.
Well, I would like him to write for me. I did ask him before.
Yeah, never got a fucking script.
No, but I will.
I didn't know your act, so I have to really kind of.
Well,
think
you've
about it.
seen it
So-
now. This is it.
Well, yeah, but it's
So
the first
the-
time I've seen you in your
This is the whole thing.
alter ego, as it were. I
No,
haven't
no,
ever met you personally.
Betty
John.
goes round Sainsbury's with me, just like that took, don't you?
Aye,
Aye.
Do you,
aye.
yeah, do you get a discount? Or do you get
10
tough
pay
car
off for
points?
pork pies, yeah. Lovely.
Or do you get necktie points?
Yeah. Anyway, so this is my little party piece for you. I've come all this way in this in this heat and on these roads that are chock-a-block with cars. If it wasn't for the cars, it'd be a wonderful ride over.
Yeah.
And your boobs would be a lot.
And my boobs would be about, They do come out.
I tell you what, Betsy.
All the
They do
boys
come
you've
out,
got
you
around
know.
there.
Why don't you do a straight to camera? But you can move your head, you know.
All right, yeah.
You look beautiful
We've got
straight
our
to
things
camera.
to say
Right,
about
okay.
It must be a fucking dreadful life to go through looking in that bloody mirror every morning, isn't it?
Oh, I don't. It's cracked anyway. It's
The
cracked
mirror
from side to
cracks from
side.
side to side.
Yeah, I thought about that this morning. It's my mirror. It's my makeup mirror, and it fell on the floor. It fell on the floor before. And it didn't break. But the last time, it cracked from side to side. Up
So
and
at the
down.
end of the day, this is going to be 7 years bad luck. isn't
Well,
it,
yes.
Betsy?
Anyway, this is a story of Rindicella and her Thugliesters. Now, Rindicella and her Thugliesters lived in a large mansion. Rindicella worked very hard, thrubbing claws, weaning clindos, emptying poss pits and shivelling shot. By the end of the day, she was knocking fackard. The Thugliesters lived with Rindicella, and the cotton runts wouldn't let her go to the ball. One Thugliester's name was Mary Hinge. The other Thugliester's name was Betty Swallocks. And they were always mucking phoning. Now Rindicella worked with a man called Buttons. He was a candy runt. He liked nothing better than diving into Rindicella's pubic pears. And he was gifted with a sherry hitto and a hig bardon. Suddenly, there was a bucking fang, and a Gary Fodmother appeared. Her real name was Sherry Thithouse. She was a fight-thucking thespian with Taj Larry Hunt and Terry hips, and turned 6 white mice and a pumpkin into a hucking huge farage. It had 6 dandy ronkies with huge hollocks. Rindicella was amazed. "My stole crooking fighty," she said. The Gary Fodmother said, "You must be back by 12 o'clock, or there'll be a clocking philometer." At the ball, the Rindicella was dancing with the Pransome Hints. They were dancing to a band called Sid Sif and his Sifling 7. They were tucking fud, but food tucking noisy. It was that drucking fummer. War a nucking facket. The cabaret was hooking foreplus. When he blew his trumpet, he was bucking brilliant, but he was a big-headed banky wastard, which he'd stick his trumpet up his hooking farsehole. Suddenly the clock struck 12, and Rindicella pucking fanic, tripping barse over hollocks, dropping her slash glipper. The Pransome Hinds picked it up and said, "Whomsoever this flipper sits, I will shed." So next day they went into Rindicella's door. They knocked on the door, because the bell was fucked. Suddenly, Mary Hinge in her tucking femper gave the Hints a hick in her cackers, which wasn't hard. They had fetty sweet and fetty swannies. Then they tried a slipper on Rindicella, and the flipper sitted pucking perfectly. Hey. Soon the Pransome Hints and Rindicella were wed. He ended his days in lucking factory. She ended hers with a foal and swanny, and they both lived happily ever after. That's just for you, David, on your birthday.
Thank you very much.
And after 14 pints, I fucked it up.
You upped it fast.
Sorry, Cameron.
But Betty, that's the whole wonderful thing about it, because with that piece, as you notice, you can just literally get round it.
You
And
can
go,
fuck it up.
No, you didn't.
No,
Oh, thank you very much. Indeed.
just a long pause.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's right.
Yeah, but it's
Second cup.
it's a filling book.
It's a filling, yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, nah.
What the fuck
Because
is
it's
it?
because it's what we did base it on was spoonerism.
I admire
Yes,
you
but-
for remembering it all. Actually.
Well, yeah.
He's been doing it for fucking years.
I do. I know
Still
it.
can't remember it.
I think if you saw me in different places, I'd be doing it
Yes, of
different.
course, yeah, yeah. of
Because
course, yeah.
it depends who's in. I mean, I
Yeah.
bring people in for the Sugliesters
Yeah.
and fart thing. I just
Yeah,
point
yeah.
somebody. Well, I look at somebody and then I go like that off. Yeah. So yeah, that is just for you
Thank you. Thank
On
you
your-
very much indeed.
on your birthday, and
Thank you for your-
it's a pleasure.
Thank you for the dedication.
It's a pleasure.
The emphasis on the dead.
and I would like you to write for me.
You're still on there, though. You're, still,
I will
you're not fucking dead yet, silly cat.
use one
Yeah.
line.
But what was interesting was I hadn't seen Betty since the BBC days.
Right.
So it was in the 80s, and
was.
we were doing a charity
83, I
event.
think.
Well, I was involved in a charity event, and Betty comes on. I never use your real name, do I? You can if you wish to for VT purposes.
I
After.
always.
But no,
yeah. Sorry, yeah.
he actually came on stage, and I was sitting there in the audience, and I heard my script. And the audience, it was chocker, wasn't it? It was at the
With people who were in the know.
Theatre Royal, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Theatre Royal.
Theatre
wasn't
Royal.
it? Everyone was on there.
Devlin.
Everyone was on. I was sitting there going, fuck, I wrote that. Sorry, I said that. Fuck, I wrote that with Philip House. And the house came down. Absolutely. So much so, it was Richard Franklin who can come on. Do you remember?
Yeah,
He was
that's
also
right,
from
yeah.
Doctor Who. And he had forgotten his lines and he got a bit sort of discovered. And they said, Betty, Betty. And he immediately had to come back on and do it again. And the house still came down. And we went to, out the Band of Drag, we went to a place called Secrets, didn't we? And we kept on, and I went up to, can I use your name?
John, yeah.
John. Went up to John and I said, oh John, we've met before, haven't we? And he said, yeah, we have. And we couldn't quite work out until Doctor Who came up. And of course, I killed him in Doctor Who.
Oh, right.
And of course he's taken this on, and I said, where did you get that from? And of course all the history comes, as we were saying earlier in our piece. It's amazing how it went round and round.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got away with it, actually.
Betty and I lived together.
Unlucky.
Betty and I lived together. Didn't we?
Yeah.
Did you?
In a place, would you believe,
Called.
Elm Grove. Well, I won't go into any
Oh,
other detail.
right.
You know what I mean? I won't go into any other detail. But Elm Grove, you understand what I mean by that. But we did that, and we've had our ups and downs. We've had all the shit.
I don't want to know about.
No, I'm talking about how.
No, it's
what I'm talking
joking.
about. What I'm talking about is our friendship. Is a lot of them are purely jealous, aren't they?
I would think so.
And we've been round to. Remember we went out to Nicky and what's it, Days?
Yeah, that's
And we
right,
were
yeah.
sitting there doing Sicilians or fucking because like chickens.
We did hours and hours of it.
And they were
loved it.
wetting themselves. They were great people, but an awful lot of people didn't have a good friendship. You know this.
Yeah.
And other people say, well, why not me? Why can't I do it? We give opportunity to everyone. You do, I do, everyone else. And, I'm very glad to say that John and Betsy, and I have been friends. I never call him John. When I introduced him when he's in his, I always say, this is Betty Sparks, John.
Yeah.
But I always called him Betty. I've never called him anything else.
Yeah.
How did we meet?
The Doctor Who Appreciation Society held their first, which became annual convention, and it was the first one in this country, the first one in the world. And it was in a little church hall in Battersea, and we set up on the Friday for the big day, which would be the Saturday. And on the Friday afternoon, I guess it was, two people that I did already know, Linda Williams, as she was then, who was president of Tom Baker's fan club, and Susan Moore, who later went on to great acclaim, sculpting monsters for Doctor Who, but back then was merely a fan like the rest of us. They said to me, oh, Mark will be here soon. And I went, who's that? And he went, you haven't met Mark Sinclair? You haven't met Mark Sinclair? And it was like,
I haven't either.
I said, oh, they gave you such a build-up. You really got a really big...
Did I disappoint?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. And do you remember what happened? So you don't really remember this, I don't think. But I've told you this one before.
Yeah.
What happened was, we were sitting there and all of a sudden the doors banged open. I remember them as double doors. And there was this tall figure wearing a Doctor Who scarf, long multicoloured scarf. And your first words, there are children nearby, we're in a pub garden, so I've got to be careful.
You can use the word fuck.
Yeah, he went, boom.
Children know more.
I'm fucking pissed off. Very loudly, much louder than I just did because there were children back there. But yeah, that was it, and it was hilarious. It was a great entrance.
Can you remember why I was pissed off? I can't.
It was terrible. You'd had a terrible journey getting there, and you were much later than you'd intended. You see, I've got this image of you wearing a long coat as well, but it was the height of summer. Maybe you just did it because you wanted to look like the Doctor, you know. The famous silhouette of the tall man with the long coat and the long scarf.
And that stupid perm I had.
Well, you didn't have a perm then. The perm came a bit later, I think.
Did it?
No, the perm was in like 81 or something.
We have to look at some of our dear friend Stephen Payne's photographs.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
You see, the thing was, back in those days, the only other gay men that I'd met were very much in the closet. I don't think you ever were in the closet, were you?
I was in the womb, but you can't really call that a closet.
So no, it was.
I think I was homosexual irretrievable.
You see, I wasn't entirely innocent, but I was a relatively innocent 16-year-old, and you were such a startling figure to suddenly walk into my life.
Really?
Yeah, and of course, within a matter of a few weeks, I came down to visit you in Whitstable, and I think my mum was already a little bit kind of wary.
Yeah.
Because I described you.
This raving queen.
Yeah, that I was going to go and spend the weekend at your mum's place.
I never touched her. Mum, God rest her soul. She's not with us now, is she, your mum? No, God rest her soul. I never touched her.
No,
she was a very pretty young 16-year-old, and I was 17.
Well, you were only a bit older, but you seemed older than me, much older.
I was taller.
I think I was relatively green. So, Mark, have you ever been curious about meeting your birth mother?
Well, I know who she is.
You know her?
I don't know her, no. Her name, if you're out there, Madeline Patricia Wise.
Wise?
So she would have been possibly good.
Right.
Because normally it would be a Wiseman, and they cut the
Possibly in light entertainment.
Do I look anything like Erna? No.
You've got long bony legs and not short hairy.
Well, you know, that might help. But no, and of course I wouldn't. I have no reference to it greying and all that and going bald because I haven't got the reference of mine because I don't know. I was procreated at a bus stop in Maidstone, apparently.
Have you ever thought about going to the bus stop?
Is that on your birth certificate?
I was born in the London Royal Free Hospital, actually, but no, this is what my mother,
Birth address behind the
late
pipes.
mother Iris, who you knew, told. She said, no, you got bunged up the Duffington in a bus stop in Maidstone. And of course, in those days, that was 1959. So in those days, it was unheard of for a 14-year-old girl, 40 or 50, where she was, to have a baby. So I was sent for adoption, and then
either
Straight
fortunately or
away.
unfortunately, I turned
Same
into
as me.
Sinclair.
That's a bit nicer.
My
isn't it?
equity,
Yeah.
because I don't want to play. If I say Monte Castro equity, they think I'm Mexican. Now and then I'll be wearing lots of sombreros.
All right, Speedy Gonzales.
So,
here you
so
come.
I actually,
The Road
I've
Runner
never,
film.
I actually, to an earlier question you asked me, I was approached by long lost families.
Oh yeah.
And what happened was, I hadn't approached them.
Yeah.
Somebody had done it for me, thinking they were helping.
Yeah.
And my point really was, they were very nice. Or would you be interested? I said, from a medical point of view, I'd be interested to see
To get information.
information, which is what Valerie did, my sister.
Did she?
And she's got another brother. She's got another brother, also killed. Guess what? Mark. I've never met him. She doesn't want me to meet.
Oh, you
this
don't
other-
share parents or blood with her then?
And
Right.
she wouldn't want me to meet her other brother
No.
because she's peculiar.
Yeah.
And so they said, oh well, we want to make it a bit more interesting. I said, well, yeah, it would be interesting. And I told them I was brokage in the bus stop in Maidstone, born at the Royal, and that's all I know. I know she was a ward maid. She worked in 15, so job was at school early.
So you got loads of information.
Yeah, but this is that's all I know. But
they're
on the birth,
researchers.
the birth certificate doesn't have the father's name on it because they didn't in those days put the father's name on it. So I wouldn't know. I bet if it was one of those quick fumbles in the jungle type thing, she wouldn't.
But she might know something.
Well, don't you think if she's now in her mid-70s
Yeah.
and I'm, tottered into the 60s now, don't you think she would have already been touched with it?
I don't know. I think some people are afraid
Yeah.
or embarrassed
What
or
we'll find.
anything. There can be a whole range of emotions.
Oh yeah.
And they might, on the other hand, they might be extremely pleased.
Put it this way, it would be a nice idea, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah, but these.
I really, if she had got in touch, that would be great. I'd be over than me. I didn't want, but my sister did. Only reason she wanted to know about her, and she came from a double-barrel family name, and apparently the father was in the Navy,
Right.
so was away, and that's why she got up to Duffington and ended up, being adopted, and because of that, they were very poor.
Right.
And that's why she.
But look, these programs, they're researchers and all the production people. They're very skilled at handling these very delicate, personal situations, and they would sound out everything because the last thing they're going to do is take their cameras into an uncharted.
Oh, I have watched one of these too.
So you know what I mean? It's
And
like
I don't know, they always end up crying.
they
Don't you?
Yes,
I
and
was
they are.
flaming with tears when you
Yeah.
see these things. Absolutely. I'm not going to lose. It would be nice to use that terrible expression, but as I said, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It doesn't worry me. If on occasion some old girl knocks on my door, I mean, I have a friend who's actually done the family. I know, and Madeleine Patricia Wise has been married 3 times, so she was a bit of a goer. She even married a Chinese man.
Oh, ringtone.
So, and they had 2 children. So I've got somewhere. No, Ching. I think that Ching, something like that.
Change as good as the rest.
It is.
Yeah. So
They're there.
somewhere I've
They're
got
there.
2. I've got 2 half English, half Chinese siblings somewhere.
Well, there you go. It's
And there was,
fascinating.
funny enough, when we went to City Sightseeing, one time there was a guy that came down, was called Chen, and I knew all about the thing, and I looked at him and we looked very similar, and I thought, all I said to him was, do you have a mother called Madeline? And
Madeline.
And he said, no. No. He said, why? I said, because that was my birth mother, and your name is her was her first marriage. And I was just that we looked quite similar. But in the end,
Around
it
there.
wasn't.
Small
It
world,
wasn't to be. Can you imagine if that was City Sightseeing? The City Sightseeing, he did some video when his camera worked. It wasn't jiggling. Well, you were jiggling about on the top of that bus, weren't you?
Were you in me?
Hey, what?
You were with me.
Were you on it? Do you know what? I did 3 different bus trips
Yeah,
I think.
there was one.
Yeah, but he
where I
did.
was
He
Churchill.
You played Churchill.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
And I was
no.
up.
No, that was
No, wait a
photo.
minute. Wait a minute. You were on one, but you weren't dressed as Churchill.
No, I was dressed as Bay. Wasn't
Dressed
That's
as-
right. British Thomas.
No.
I? No.
You just dressed as John.
Maybe
Oh,
it was just
got
you.
stoned,
Yeah, you
to
just came
going down
down.
the boat. But I've been checked out by my cousin, and they found a lot that they'd given me,
Yeah.
and Samaritans have got into it, but they're not taking it only so far. And I know that my mother, my dad, pushed my mother down the stairs or something and killed her.
Oh God.
Yeah, so
That's
I
dark,
don't really
isn't it?
want to. I don't really want to.
And they say there's
Proceed.
nothing like a northern salt, is there, Chuck?
But you see, I've got that in me.
Yeah.
I can.
You could push something
Yeah,
downstairs.
yeah. Well,
You have a... Well,
I
two
have
people
done.
like to push
I
down the
have
stairs,
done.
do.
I have done.
Yeah, he's fallen down the stairs a couple of times as well. But
We
we
take
used to,
turns-
we used
take
to live in
turns
the
of
same
pushing
flat
each other
together.
up the stairs.
We used to live in the same flat together. You met
Oh right, yeah,
And
yeah.
occasionally Betty would come in 4 sheets to the wind in the evening, and I'd wake up in the morning after the city sightseeing. He'd still be sitting on the loo. Drawers down.
Asleep.
I'm going, Betty,
As long
Betty.
as you're comfortable.
And then he brought
Don't
porridge.
bang, it's bad for the sound.
Porridge to me. Brought porridge
My
up to
film.
me. Brought
Is it
porridge
film?
up
Yes,
to
yeah.
me. That was lovely. And there was a young man there.
Oh.
And he got him out of the
dear.
I hit the roof. And it wasn't anything to do with jealousy or anything like that. I said, no, you don't know who you're picking up. I mean, what you do in your own private life, the
It
thoughts
was
of
It's dangerous when you're blotto, I'm sure.
Yeah,
was
but
all right.
but the fact is, there's money in the house.
Yes.
That was
Yeah,
my
yeah.
point. It
Yeah.
wasn't that I was trying to say,
No.
oh, why are you bringing young men and I can't?
When I was very
And what happened? I ended up getting married.
Now he was the black one.
Black one.
Yeah.
When I got it, it had no balls. And I can tell you, a Dalek has 48 balls.
56. 56 on a proper Dalek. I know it was
My Dalek
anorak
had
stuff.
48 balls.
Well, it was missing.
Every single ball was missing. And there was a hole. Do you remember Fred had a hole?
Yeah.
And what we found out, do you remember this? When they bought out an air freshener called Airball, which I think you can still get.
We used to have them, and you tilted the lid, which
Yeah.
was separate, just a
and
hemisphere.
the ball was exactly the same size as where the balls,
On the Dalek balls,
the
yeah.
actual,
Yeah.
But when we got Fred, he was black and fluorescent, all the slats and all that, which were made
Fluorescent what?
orange.
Orange. We can't tell that in the Radio Times because it's just a black and white picture.
Yeah, but that's what the colour is.
What's I'll tell you another thing, you probably don't know this. I've looked this up because the school that made that Dalek, the famous photograph, a few years later, I went to the wrap party for the Hitchhiker's Guide at Douglas Adams' flat, and he was then living in a flat about 2 doors down from that school.
I can't remember what the school was.
It was in Highbury New Park, is the road, near Clissold Park.
In fact, I just said, oh, we'd like to borrow your Dalek.
Yeah.
And the headmaster said to me, you can have it.
Wow.
And I couldn't
Well, he
believe
was
it.
sick of it, he wanted to get rid of it or something.
It was taking up too much room, and of course the kids had pulled it all apart. Like
Yeah.
that. So when
That's all the balls had gone. Yeah.
all the balls had gone, and the gun, which, as you know, has that sort of filigree around it,
Yeah.
iron rods and all that. They'd all
They're
been
all bent,
pulled.
yeah.
But they hadn't welded them; they were soldered on, so that's what they all came off. In the exception, we didn't use stage brush. Guess what we used? Nigel's gran, and I called gran too, her tomato puree, Italian tomato puree, and I get shot. And we had real guns. We had real guns. I mean, we would have been,
Real guns?
Yeah, we had. Well, my dad had a gun from when he was in the National Service, and we had a gun. They also, God knows where all these guns come from. And luckily, I said, "You keep that." No, I don't want it back, thank you. And Dad had it in the bloody cupboard at home.
Well,
in the
that's one
wardrobe.
step more than
but
my
with
dad's
bullets.
starting
I'm
pistol.
surprised that actually my father never actually shot my mother because they didn't get on all that well. Tom I know because
Yeah.
Tom Baker. I think you're probably right. That one. You came to my wedding with my husband, Alejandro Montoya Castro.
And Betty on that doesn't say on the video that he did. It's not going to last. 10 years later, we're still together. He came along, and John, who I went to school with, John Pell, Colonel John Pell, OBE.
Oh, that John. I thought you were starting to talk about John Nathan Turner.
No. John Powell, who came to the wedding, who was my best man.
Yeah, I know.
He couldn't be my best man, or it would have been lovely for him, but he was doing the video. Can't be in two places at once. Guess who was on the phone to him whilst I was
Occupied.
shall we say delivering service? It was Biddy Baxter.
Ah.
God rest herself. Who was the extra of Blue Peter?
Yeah.
And they were because Tom was leaving and Peter was coming in, and they were going to put him on. And there I am. I'm giving John the bloody blowjob, and he's talking to Biddy Baxter. So on that note, I'm going to say now, my dearest friend and his son, who's also a dear friend. This is Kevin John Davis and Liam Davis. Elaine, who's over there somewhere with Betty Swallow.
The missus is
I'm not saying
keeping
that
out the
she's
way.
got Betty Swallows, I'm just saying she's with Betty Swallows.
She's with Betty Swallows, yes.
We've had a grand time. Thank you to Stephen. The
Yeah, it's
director
been a
and all.
lovely afternoon.
And it is, you know...
Nice catch
and-
up. What I was going to ask you was, with all these different things going on in your life,
Oh, yeah.
are you happy at this stage of your life?
I'm happily married. I've got a dog. Unless he's been sold.
Your crazy dog.
My mad dog. I have dear friends. And I must say, anyone who sits at home and thinks about themselves is unhinged. I cannot bear self-obsession, egotism or anything like that. My point is, yes, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I'm
You've
happy.
got quite a lot going on, haven't you, really? All these different elements of your
But
life. You've built
know,
an
I mean,
interesting...
Yeah, from when I, because I was going to work for my father. You remember in the printing business?
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Well, you did do a bit of printing
Well,
for
yeah,
a
I was
while.
a photographic technician.
Yeah.
The word was bromide.
I've still got
all
a
those
couple
stuff.
of those things, only a couple I've got, of
Well, I gave
that
them
were-
to
that you did
I gave
for
them
the-
all to you because I said, you take those. I could
For the
do, how
Doctor
many
Who
do you
convention.
want? I said, we'd have thought about it in those days. We would have made a fucking fortune. I mean, yeah, £5.
there are all these big black and white prints at the first Doctor
You know,
Who
Doctor
con.
logos and stuff like that.
I kept a couple all these years from when we first met that first day.
No, because you said to me at the time, oh, what are you going to
They're
do?
lovely, yeah.
I'm going to throw them out.
I don't think I was the only one rescuing a couple of those.
No, I did say, anyone who wants them, do you want it? I should have been
You didn't want to take them back, did you? But
Oh,
you should have
fine.
charged, yeah.
No, but that's the point. It's chum. And this is why
And
this
you
film
printed
is...
all- you printed
I
all
don't know
of
what...
those.
Shut up. I don't know what this film's going to be called. But I want it not to be, you know, a day in the life, because it's certainly not a day in the life.
Do you know what it is?
It's a whole history. I'm doing my piece to...
It's Mark.
Do your piece to camera over there.
Mark Sinclair Untitled.
Give me a title for it.
No, Mark Sinclair Untitled.
And no knickers or bra.
Like Alan Davis.
I do like the idea of it, Marc and Chums.
Marc and Chums.
I think that Chums is a very theatrical thing. Also, they're my chum.
Yes, it's
You know,
slightly
friends,
old-fashioned,
you know,
slightly...
Yeah. Oh, you know, Barbara Hislop from Equity, you know, which is, God, she's knocking on. She's Frank from Dad's Army, he's still with us. And he's my chum. Nick Courtney was my chum.
Yeah.
You know, you're my chums, but you're my dearest, closest friends, you know. And what else, you know, and you know, whatever you do with people, honestly, whatever you do, look after your friends, because you don't actually get them that last this fucking long.